Alright, how's it going? So we got this undisputed light heavyweight showdown, right? Round 2. The second fight between BETERBIEV and BIVOL. First fight was really competitive, really good fight, high quality fight. I picked BETERBIEV to win that fight, and rightly so. He won the fight. I didn't see any controversy in that first fight. I think BETERBIEV was the more aggressive fighter. At the end of the day, he wanted it more than BIVOL. I thought BIVOL was good, but he didn't let his hands go enough to win the fight. Coming into the second fight, I've been listening to the guys. I've been listening to BETERBIEV and BIVOL. I will say this: BIVOL seems very determined in the second fight to right the wrong. He's talked about revenge. He's talked about correcting the mistakes, and also working on the things he did right from the first fight. And he's also spoke about letting his hands go more. So it's a tough pick, because with the first fight being competitive, and now the second fight, hearing the words Bivol's saying about what he's been working on, and knowing he has to let his hands go more, I will say I think this will be another very competitive fight, and I have thought about picking BIVOL for this rematch, because when you hear someone talk about improving, and they're very specific about what they need to do, like in this case BIVOL talking about how at times he's been hesitant, but he knows he needs to let his hands go more, that's spot on. So he's saying all the right things, and he's got that, he's got the eye of the tiger, if you like. He looks very determined to win this fight. In saying that, I think, like I said, personally, I had BETERBIEV winning the first fight 8-4 or 7-5. I thought he was a lot more on the front foot, a lot more aggressive. He was doing more work. In the first fight, BETERBIEV was the guy working for 2.5 minutes of the round, and BIVOL would be winning or working more than BETERBIEV for only 30 seconds of the round, right? And some people focused on that and said, well, BIVOL, he landed a couple of good punches in that round. Yeah, okay, he landed a couple of good punches, but that was within 30 seconds of the round. The other 2 minutes 30 of the round, BETERBIEV was dominating. Not dominating as in beating up BIVOL, but dominating the round as in, winning the round. So I still think that this is a fight that BETERBIEV will win, despite BIVOL making some changes. But I do think this will be even more competitive than the first fight, if you can believe that, right? Because like I say, personally, I thought BETERBIEV won the first fight, and it was pretty clear that he won. I'm not saying he dominated, but it was pretty clear that he won 7 or 8 rounds of the fight, simply because, like I said, he was more dominant through large periods of each round. So what I'm saying is, I think BIVOL will close the gap in this fight. I think BIVOL will let his hands go more, but I think it's going to be hard for him to do that, because on the other side, right, there's two fighters in this. There's Bivol and BETERBIEV, right? Even though I think Bivol is going to come in extra determined, knowing what he has to fix, I still think BETERBIEV is just too good. And I think BETERBIEV is going to try to improve on the first fight as well. I think BETERBIEV is going to go for the knockout more in this fight as well, and he's going to be a little bit better. So even though Bivol closes that gap, I think BETERBIEV will step it up as well. So that's the way I see it. I think it'll be similar to the first fight. I think Bivol will try to throw more, but again, that's going to be hard when he's letting his hands go and BETERBIEV is coming back, right? Coming back with counter punches. On the other side, I don't think BETERBIEV is going to get the stoppage. I think he's going to try for the stoppage, but Bivol is very good, like I said, very determined, and he's got the footwork to get out of range as well. So even though both these guys are more determined, right, I think it's going to finish similar to the first fight. I think it's going to be similar to the first fight, because I think they're both going to try to push themselves a little bit more, and it's going to end up the same. You know, Bivol is going to fall short. He's going to do well, but he's going to fall short. BETERBIEV, for me, is still going to dominate the majority of each round, which should get him the win. Now, I will say that in that type of fight, I do think there's a possibility that BETERBIEV gets robbed. I do think there's a possibility that, because the first fight was controversial to some people, not me, but it was controversial to a lot of people. For some reason, a lot of people had Bivol winning. So I could see a scenario where I think BETERBIEV has won the fight again, but it goes Bivol's way. But, you know, you can't do anything about that. My prediction is that BETERBIEV will win in a very competitive fight, 7-5 type of fight. That's the way I see it. Let me know what you think.